Watch the start of this video very carefully, because you're about to see 8 different card controls. All you have to do is spot which one uses the least sleight of hand. Good luck. That is right! Today we are talking about card controls. The good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones. And we're going to try and answer the question, what is the holy grail of card controls? But before we get into any of that, I want to thank today's video sponsor. That's not a joke, I have my very first sponsor on the channel, so take it away. Past Cavan when I recorded the sponsored segment. This video is sponsored by Magiskill.com, who make 3D interactive magic tutorials. The advantage of this over traditional magic learning is that you can watch the trick using their 3D models from any angle you want. You can change it to be left-handed, right-handed, you can control the zoom, the speed. All of this makes learning so much easier. There's card manipulation, there's close-up magic, and new moves are added regularly, and the content is also viewable in virtual reality. The guys who've made Magiskill are both magicians and 3D artists, so they can capture the moves with high precision and accuracy. They haven't told me to say this, but I genuinely think this could be the future of learning magic. Now, they have a Kickstarter campaign coming really soon, so make sure to head to Magiskill.com and enter your email address today so you get notified when they launch. Again, a massive thank you to Magiskill for being the first ever sponsor on this channel. You guys are really helping to pay the bills, and I am really excited about your project. So, thank you to Magiskill. On with the video. All right, with that out of the way, what is a card control? I know it sounds like a super basic question, but it's important to know what a card control is. That's what this whole video is about. A card control is where you apparently fairly lose a card in the middle of the deck somewhere, but actually you know where it is at all times. A lot of people think that is just the top of the deck or the bottom of the deck, but actually it could be palmed or copped away into an entirely different location. Card controls are basically a must-have in any card magician's repertoire. If you don't know one, you seriously need to get learning one, and I'm going to teach you a really easy one in this video, but there are so many out there. I showed 8 in the intro of the video. That is 8 out of hundreds that exist out there. 8 that I perform on a semi-regular basis, but I know there are lots, so please leave them down in the comments. Let's just fill the comments with card controls, because there are so many. I'm sure there are some great ones that I don't know about. Let's kick things off by breaking down all 8 of the card controls that I performed in the intro. I'm going to give you the pros of them, the cons of them, the practicalities of it, and give you a little bit of my opinion on it. Some of these I don't like, but have learnt in the past and did use in the past and found difficult. Some of them I love, and one of these I consider to be the holy grail of card controls, and we are going to discover very soon what that is. But we're going to start with a bit of a controversial one. something that I call the spread and under control. I don't know if that's its actual name. Again, if you know anything about me, it's that I am terrible with the names of tricks, the names of magicians. They just in one ear, out the other. So apologies if I'm getting the names of these wrong. I call it the spread and under control, which is a pretty good name for it because you spread the cards and essentially you secretly put that card under the other packet and it looks like it goes straight into the middle. Not much of a tutorial here, but more of a demonstration. I'm going to show you what happens. Let's say the 3 of clubs is selected. In the video, I kind of hid it by going out of frame ever so slightly. You can kind of tell what happens there. Essentially, it gets caught under this spread. I now pretend this is the 3 of clubs and lose this one really slowly in the deck. That's the moment they really watch, but the card is really under that other packet the whole time. So the King of Hearts gets caught under this packet. I pretend this is the King of Hearts, and then it goes into the middle. In reality, it's here the whole time. I've done a much more detailed tutorial of this over on the Magician Club, which is my membership. Obviously, go and check that out, themagician.club. You can learn like 100+ items on that membership. That is one of them, as a few of these are. I teach a lot of things on the Magician Club, so I'm gonna refer to it occasionally in this video. But hey, maybe one day the sponsor of this video will help learn some of these controls. In terms of cons, the cons are pretty obvious. If you're watching this really, really closely, i.e. watching it on camera, it doesn't really hold up. And that is why I had to dip out of the frame as I was pulling away from the camera to kind of disguise the moment. It looks like I just accidentally go out of frame. In actual fact, that's entirely on purpose to hide the method. Because yeah, if you're looking at this, you can tell what happens. It is not very fooling. But in person, on the fly, in the moment, in the natural sort of rhythm of performing, you can really get away with this. It is super easy. That's definitely a pro. Works in person, definitely a pro. Is it the holy grail of card controls? No, it is definitely not. It has its flaws, it has its weaknesses. It's definitely angle sensitive. Yeah, there's some holes in this one, but in certain situations, it is kind of perfect. Talking about things that don't work on camera, the double flip control. I bet some of you were cringing when I performed it in the intro. Yeah, the double flip control is 100% designed to work in person, and it really does work in person. Definitely doesn't work on camera, as you will have seen, but this is what it's trying to emulate. So the move is meant to look like you're doing this. You flip a card over that's selected, in this case the 6 of Hearts, and then you flip it back, leave it sticking out and lose it slowly into the center. So that's the real thing you're trying to copy. But the sleight of hand version, the control version, is this. You flip it over, in this case 8 of spades, and then you do this. So the 8 of spades is now on top and there's an entirely different card sticking out. So you can lose this one slowly, but the real card, the selection, is already on top. But that moment where you do the move, like I'll do it again, watch, 7 of clubs, this moment right here, if you're watching that really carefully, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, the card goes on top and then there's some other card sticking out. So yeah, 100% not for the camera at all, even more so than the last one. But in person, done at speed, it works. I've done it lots and lots of times. This is, I think, an original move, or definitely something I've come up with independently. I'm sure something similar exists out there. Again, taught on the Magician Club if you do want to learn it. I've only ever been caught doing this in person once, where someone said, hang on a second, that's just on top now. But they were watching really, really closely. They were a burner. They were really, really watching. Most of the time, people just kind of, it feels right, you know, you just flip the packets, it's in the middle, you stick it out. If your body language is right, if the psychology is there, then it really, really works. And that goes for all these controls. It's not just about the sleight of hand, it's about how you sell it. If it really feels to the audience like you're losing the card in without a second thought, then that is where it starts to really be effective. And that is truer than no other control than for this next one. The second deal control. I did this one on the floor. This is where it looks like you're just dropping the card into the deck, like you really don't care, you just kind of deal it onto the pile, slap it in the middle, square it up, it's on top already. That in itself is quite an impressive moment of magic, just because of how free and almost at the fingertips it feels. But it just uses a second deal, which again, I've taught multiple times on YouTube for free. You just second deal the card when you put it onto the pile. Simple as that. If you know a second deal or a bottom deal works the same way, then you can execute this control, and you can even do it into the spectator's hands. I'm gonna rate this one very, very highly. Not that this is a ranking video or a tier list video, but if it was, this would be in that top tier. It's something I use a lot. It feels very natural. It feels very hands-off. But is it the holy grail of card controls? Still no. There is one better coming up in this list. Next up is this cheeky little control where you flick the card over in the spread and lose it really, really fairly in the middle. This works so well in person and on camera, but for me, it's a little bit too much like a move, if you get me. It's too fancy. You know, it looks like something that you've rehearsed. As I've spoken about a lot in the past, if something looks really, really clean and really, really fancy, then to an audience member, it looks like sleight of hand. And although they might not understand what is happening, the fact that they know something is happening is a bad thing. Because you're basically telling them, yeah, that's when the magic happened. That really fancy thing I did that looked, you know, like I'd rehearsed it 1,000 times, yeah, that was how I did the trick. And that's not the situation you want to be in. So as much as I like this move and it is convincing and it impresses magicians and lay people alike, controls for me, they shouldn't be impressive. They should not be impressive. They should look random and natural and normal, not beautiful. An absolute classic card control is up next, pun very much intended. This is the pass. We've all heard of the pass. We've all spent hours practicing the pass. Some of us have loved it, some of us have hated it. I'm not gonna say if I enjoyed it or not, but the pass I use is called the Herman pass. It's actually not the classic pass. I was never really a fan of the classic pass, and over the years, I've completely forgotten how to do it. Again, if you're interested in the difference between the passes, essentially the classic pass takes the top packet, and I'll do this in slow motion, takes the top packet round and underneath, whereas the Herman pass, which is the one that I perform, takes the bottom packet round. And I do it from this angle, sort of as the cards are coming together. I lose it like this. It looks a lot better from that angle. It is knacky, it is difficult, it is kind of impractical. There's almost no reason to do a pass, and that's why a lot of magicians don't like it, is because you can just cover the pass up with a cut or a different control, or there's lots of alternatives. Moving half the deck just to control one card, to me, is a bit overkill. But having said all that about the pass, it is also taught on the Magician Club. I've done a masterclass on it, and I do think that it has its place, but it's not the Holy Grail, not for me. Next up is another controversial one, the shift. The shift is another one of those knuckle-busting moves. Super difficult, but rather than moving half the deck like the pass, it does just control that one card, and it can be adapted to control it to the bottom, the top. It can even be straight into a cop and in your pocket. I have not got anywhere near enough time to teach this move, but I will demonstrate it with the Jack of Hearts right here. It goes into the pack just like this, and it's already on the bottom. It happens so quickly. Again, on camera you can tell that something is happening, but in person, from the right angle, it really just looks like nothing happens at all. In that case, you can, you know, cop it, put it in your pocket. Like I say, so many uses for this one. I kind of love it. I really kind of love it. It took a while to learn, took a while to master, but once you've got it mastered, it's just one of those things you can just play with. Like, it's buttery smooth. However, the cons are it is super angle sensitive, really, really angle sensitive. If someone watches this from the back, they can see the entire thing. If someone is stood over you, as is the case a lot of times at gigs, you can't really control the angles at most magic gigs, I find. So is this gonna fly in those situations? Absolutely not. Perhaps the cull will be. The cull is, again, another really versatile move. You can use this to control multiple cards from multiple locations in the deck. You can even use it to separate red cards from black cards throughout the entire pack, or face-up cards from face-down cards. You can use it for a triumph. You can, you know, set up tricks on the go. That's often actually what I use the cull for, is not in performance. It's actually between performances at gigs. If I quickly need to set something up, I will cull cards, because it just looks like I'm spreading through the pack. I can cull and put cards into whatever position I want. Doesn't have to be the top or the bottom in this case, it can be in stack. It can be a certain number of cards from the top. Wow, I could list the uses all day. Not literally, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I could list the uses for about 5 minutes, which is a long time. Another one I've taught on the Magician Club, the cull is fantastic on so many levels. And if this was a ranking, it would probably be at number 2. So no, it is not the holy grail of card controls. It is just behind this last one, which is also the one that uses the least amount of sleight of hand. How I asked in the intro, which one uses the least sleight of hand? What is the holy grail of card controls? It's the same one, in my opinion. Bit of a twist. It is the double lift control. If you are one of the people that are really, really angry at me right now, then I almost want to fist bump you through the screen. Let's do it, because I think it's wonderful that you care that much about sleight of hand, that you care that much about magic. I think that is a beautiful thing. Said it before and I'll say it again. But for me, for the type of performer I am, again, I perform in all sorts of situations, surrounded with hecklers, with people grabbing the cards, all sorts of things. A double lift control is the easiest, absolutely, but it is also the most convincing to most audiences. Most lay people aren't aware of the double lift. I know some magicians are scared of it because they think everyone knows what a double lift is. It's really not the case. Like, go out there and perform to people. You will find that 99.9% of people don't see a double lift. They might know what one is. I don't know. I don't ask everyone if they know what a double lift is, but certainly they don't spot it. Certainly they are fooled by it. If you're one of the sort of people that does this before they do a double lift and you're doing all this like crazy antics like David Blaine, flicking it off your hand or something before you do the move, again, overkill. You don't need to do it. The simplest and easiest double lift is just turning the card over, showing them, flipping it back, sticking it in the middle, and it's on top. Like, that's all you need to do. That right there is a moment of magic, although I wouldn't recommend performing it quite so directly. If ever I'm stuck for a card control, if ever I don't know what will work, or maybe I've got sticky hands and I can't do sleight of hand for whatever reason, honestly, I don't know what the reason is that would happen, but if ever I'm in a tricky situation, basically, the double lift control will never let me down. It's never let me down, ever. And that is why I am crowning it the holy grail of card controls. Put your holy grail down in the comment section below. My word is not set in stone. You can have your own opinion and it's just as valid. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button down below. I really enjoyed this style and I want to do it for more things, you know, holy grail of book tests, where we go through a load of book tests and discuss which one I think is the best, or holy grail of any card at any numbers, or whatever, I don't know. Suggest those down as well in the comments, because I would love to do this again. And if you are new to the channel and you've made it to this point of the video, I really think you'll like my channel. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. All right, that is it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Take care.